many of you who don't know Warren, I met him at the Business Freedom Speaking Academy, and we were learning how to become speakers together, and it was a super emotional time. For any of Warren's followers that don't know me, my name is Stacey, and I have a website called Happier by the Minute, and every Friday morning from 9 to 9:30 in the morning, we get together and we just talk about positivity skills, and then I have guests on who are truly inspiring and positive. And Warren, I will tell you that you are the most inspiring person that I personally know. And when I just saw the video that Jay Shetty made of you, yes, everybody, Jay Shetty. Well, it wasn't, he didn't make it of you, but he took your speech, right? So Warren, give us a little introduction about you and your rise to fame. I'm going to start out with that you have won 4 speaking, are they contests or they're just speaking forums?
Inspirational public speaking awards, we can call them that.
Inspirational Public Speaking Awards. And I am, Joanna from BFSA is watching, and she gives us you a big woohoo. So tell us a little bit about you and what put you on your journey to become an inspirational speaker.
So all my life, I dealt with adversity from an early age. When I was a child, I was gifted with a disability, an illness, and throughout my life, thank God for the teachings that I learned. Thank God for spirituality and for my mindset that, from different trainers and teachers all over the place that helped me to get to where I am today. I spent most of my life in a wheelchair, especially in high school, and I'm extremely grateful for most of all my friends and family who treated me like everybody else. And that really contributes to somebody that is dealing with a challenge. Because if you're going through something and there's a pity party or anything that encourages the victim mentality is going to affect somebody mentally when they grow up. And that is what I'm very grateful for, first of all. So over time, I've been very optimistic all my life, but over time when I grew up, it became more and more. So I wouldn't even say positive or anything like that, but I've always been driven. So I'm always going forward and always trying to do things of the impossible, which I have. Now I don't use my wheelchair as much, thank God. And over time, it's just like the amount, when somebody tells you, when you get the same message over and over and over again from multiple different people and telling you the exact same thing, it's time to listen. So
you just said in 1 minute more than anybody. I don't even know where to begin. A, gifted with a disability, and B, that learned victim mentality. So that is so big. I don't even know where to begin. This is now clearly people can see this isn't scripted because that's so powerful. That's so powerful. So tell me a little bit more about that learned victim mentality and people treating you like you remember from an early age that people didn't treat you as if you had a disability, and they just really gave you instilled in you the belief that it doesn't matter if you're in a wheelchair, it doesn't matter if you have a disability, you can do anything.
Yeah, that sums it up really. Yeah, that was very special. That was and it's important. If there's any parents out there, for example, and their child has an, God forbid, an illness or a disability or whatnot, the best thing that you can do is empower them to, like, don't let them feel bad about what they have. That's what I'm saying. And, whatever it is that they can do, allow them to do it and encourage them to do it. Don't force it. But, when you're surrounded by friends and stuff, come on, we're going clubbing, we're going here and there, The first time when I moved back here, I had a little walking stick. I'm in Toronto now. So I had my wheelchair, but I also had a little walking stick, and I was literally half the size I was, literally. And my friends, they said, we're going to a club. I've never been to a club before. And so I had my little cane, and there's people everywhere. If you can imagine the nightclubs, and it wasn't like back then, that was a cool thing to do at that age. So I said, okay, I trusted my friends because they've always been my bodyguards. And literally, it was as if my friends split the Red Sea for me in the club and opened up the whole dance floor just so I can get through to dance with everybody. And I'll never forget that moment, because that is just showing that, here he is. Let him be part of everything. And it's true. It's always about the inside. It's always about who the person is, not about, everybody has something, and it's,
even if you can't see it, and sometimes it's even, harder if you don't see it, or not harder, but it's just as hard because people don't see it, so they think it's not real. But I will say, Warren is a killer dancer, by the way, and even with his crutches, or, like, you were out there on the dance floor, you're just like everybody else. We were partying, and you don't see Warren as any different, and it's just so inspiring and just fun. You know what I mean? Like, and it would make me super sad to think of you sitting on the side or not getting up and doing that because you didn't feel confident enough. So give me some examples of, if our child, or when somebody has a disability, or is in a wheelchair, what were some of the things that your parents encouraged you to do that you maybe thought, I can't do that? Or, do you have any moments where it was really tough and you said, and they really did say, no, you can, put on your own shirt, or you can feed yourself, or you can, you know what I mean? What were some of those moments, if you remember them, that would encourage parents to not treat them like a victim?
Well, I went to school, first of all. I wasn't encouraged to stay home and hide.
Good.
And I got in trouble, right? I got in trouble. There was a ditch day at school once. In high school, there was a ditch day. And I get to school, and everyone's, all my friends are like, let's go. We're leaving. We're having a ditch day. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll come, right? So there was obviously all the parents had to come in for a meeting about this, right? So my parents actually said, I'm pretty glad that he actually did something bad. Because it's like, yeah, and I always want to go out. So I was always, with my friends, and like, what are we doing tonight? And, the social life. So thank God for that. But on the other hand, there were some downfalls, and there were some, obviously just like everybody else. But for me, there was always the self-conscious battle that was going on with me, especially in high school. Friends were dating, and, there were some things that I was on the side bench, and I was on the bench, and I did feel left out and bad. But I always focused on what was not, like where I was not, right? But growing up was a learning experience for me, because, only today have I begun to accept many aspects of what I have. I spoke last week, was it that I actually, I explained that when we own a deformity or a challenge or an adversity, it creates a sense of freedom around it. And the biggest switch for me that I had recently was that we changed the meaning around what we have, and we can change the meaning about anything. And that's what's most important. And that is one of my greatest assets, because what I tell people is that I may need crutches or a wheelchair to walk right now, but my crutches need me to give them purpose. And by me changing that whole, changes everything. So whether it makes sense or not is not important. It's what you feel inside. You have now a power to grant something that's inanimate, even though it has atoms and energy and frequency. We can get into that later, but still, you're granting something power that you were dependent on, and it creates a sense of freedom, and that is something. When we can get to a point to change the way we look at things, like Wayne Dyer says, it actually works. it actually changes your reality.
I got to tell you, Warren, I'm going to tell you the truth now. Warren and I were kind of up against each other to win this Business Speaking Academy award, and people thought mine was really funny. But when Warren got up there and he said, you know, I have given purpose to my crutches, I was all, game over. I'm voting for Warren. Like, I'm not even voting for myself. Like, that's just so evolved, and it just is so beautiful, and truly, truly, just that you can look at things differently. And I really want to touch on, you gave a talk to, one of your inspirational talks, and I think it's called Am I Mad at God? Is that what you would title it? It's the first line. And
it was a purpose over pain.
Purpose over pain.
And then it was changed over time, so it's great.
Yeah, and
Same idea.
And so you did the talk. Jay Shetty saw it and then turned it into. Is that what happened? How did it turn?
Well, all the speakers out there have their Facebook pages. So the Facebook page of Jay Shetty shared that video. So hopefully he also watched it, but I'm saying his actual Facebook page shared it. Inner Light Media was given the video from Speaker Slam in Toronto. So Speaker Slam is one of Canada's largest inspirational speaking competitions. And when people go to compete there or they speak there, we don't want to think it as a competition, but the videos and the talks are so well done that they distribute them to other companies like Goldcast, and Inner Light Media is one of them that picked up this video, which I'm extremely grateful for. And then all of a sudden people were sharing it like crazy. And then it was shared on, I was actually looking on Jay Shetty's Facebook page to look for something that I was looking for that he posted once. And then all of a sudden I see my video there repurposed and branded. I was like, I was in tears because my intention is to inspire as many people as possible. And all of a sudden I'm getting a lot of attention, at which I thought somebody just shared something randomly. I didn't know that actually happened. And so just to plug Speaker Slam, I definitely encourage anyone to take the leap of faith and speak at Speaker Slam. Our friend Heather is actually speaking next week, so I'm excited for her.
Oh my gosh, we have such an amazing group of people that's super bonded. So I do want to encourage people to go to your website, your Facebook page, which is tagged here on Facebook. Do you have a website?
You can go to iambecauseIchooseTobe.com, and it will take you to my business Facebook page.
And then your business Facebook page, which is Warren Falkenstein. And I want to touch on something in that video, because you guys have to find it, that brought me to tears, was when you were talking about that procedure that was done in your back. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you changed the perception of one of the most painful moments of your life?
Okay. I quiver. No, I will. I quiver when I think about it. Even when I was thinking about what to talk about, I started shaking because I have experienced a lot of pain in my life, and I still do. And I just go with it mostly, but sometimes it's intolerable, and my pain tolerance is very high. When I was younger, I actually trained with different trainers, and they pushed my limits, push-ups and this and that, and I was screaming, but I was, purpose over pain is why I spoke about that. And it's, why are you going through what you're going through? So the test that I went through was a bone marrow test, just to check, just because I have most of my life has been undiagnosed. So I'm always curious to know, okay, so let's try this, try that. And the doctor at the time, he said, he's done it so many times, and I really trust people. And he says, don't worry, it's not going to hurt. We're going to numb it. So I didn't know how painful that was going to be. I didn't know. And it literally felt as if a drill was being drilled into my back. I was shaking. I probably saw black. I probably left for a moment and came back because I probably saw myself. And that's it was just I do not wish that on anybody. I know tooth pain is probably one of the worst pains up there. Giving birth, I'm sure, is pretty painful as well. And also, but bone pain is also like, you feel it everywhere, like your entire skeletal system shaking. And so I'm lying there, and the nurse is holding me down and everything, and it's going, and I didn't exactly communicate that I was going to do this. And then it's over, and it's finally over, and I'm done. I'm finished. I'm crying. You can imagine blood and all that stuff. And then he didn't get the test that he wanted, so he had to do it again. So the same trauma that he just went through twice in one shot, literally one shot. And so I was finished after. I've never felt like that before. I'm standing there in the hospital, and like afterwards, because they want me to go so they can torture the next patient. I'm there in the cafeteria, and like I literally is spinning because I don't know what just hit me. I don't know. The pain subsided, but I was like,
going through that. I'm sorry, and I didn't. And I'm not trying to have you tell this so that you experience it again. We're getting to the point of this, people, so you don't think I'm cruel.
No, like the pain subsided, but the thing is, like, obviously there's a bruise and back pain for the rest of the week, for the rest of the month or 2 months or whatever it was. But for a moment, it's just like, how much more can a person handle? And I know you're only given what you can handle, and I say that all the time, and I understand that. And for some reason, I was able to handle that. And that was the lesson for a moment. And I did look up, and I did say, okay, I did it. I understand. And I had a switch, and I realized, because I'm always asking, how can I help people more? And now to feel that is to really help someone, to have real empathy for them. What I mentioned in the video is that later on in life, there was an opportunity to do a similar test like that again, for a study, and the study needed candidates with similar conditions to what I have. And basically, it took me forever to make the decision to do that again. And
you chose to do that procedure again because you thought it would help other people.
Yeah, even though it was a little bit different, the procedure was different, but it was still like they needed to do the same idea, and it was still very painful. But I did come to the decision I'm going to do it, and I just kept it quiet to myself until really that talk. Then I actually told people I did it, because I don't want to. I'm not the person that likes to like.
You're not bragging about going through the pain. You're not, but I'm so glad that you did share it, because watching you and listening to you you're not just helping people physically by going through tests and trying to help them understand certain disabilities or challenges, but what you're talking about, and that if people can look at you and say, wow, he could go through that most painful thing by choice and he can find purpose in it. I'm telling you, like, the ripple effect of what you are doing for people, and it's just so beautiful. And I'm just so grateful to have heard the story, one, so I'm encouraging everybody to go see it and share it, and then second, to just know you and know what a good human you are and how kind you are. So I want to change the subject a little bit to your speaking, because that is all magic, all good. I met you in January, and it's only 5 months later, and you have already won. In addition to that, you've won 4 more inspirational speaking awards.
So, yeah, including that one. Yeah.
So tell me, so first of all, what was the moment, because you hadn't been a speaker, actually you won an award before that one, I think, right? Which is how you met Eric Edmeades. Tell us a little bit of how you ended up becoming an inspirational speaker, because was that your intent?
Yeah, so it's always been a desire. But when a lot of people tell you the same thing and it's time for you to listen, you just take that leap. And if anybody's out there that does want to start speaking, my process was basically put myself on video first, make a video talks. And so about 2 years ago, I did that. And it was hard for me. And I'm sure a lot of people have a problem with, let's say, the sound of your voice when you record it. People get, that self-conscious kicks in and you're just like, oh, I hate the way I sound. Or how do I look, right? I know that I have deformities. I'm aware of that. And when I see it on camera, sometimes it does, like, it does affect my, my, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. Like this, it's, there was that battle. There was that battle. And then I had to focus on the message and why I was doing it. And so basically all I did was I just sat in front of the camera, and whatever teachings, and from spirituality to motivation to life stories to parables to whatever, I just said, what do people need to hear and how can I help them? And that was my most important thing, because why, it's always about the why. What drives you? Why are you doing something? And why are you putting yourself out there? So I started making these videos, and basically I did them a lot. Probably some of them are horrible quality, horrible, but that gave me the practice, so to speak. That gave me the momentum or the courage to be ready to speak on the stage, or to get to the next level or whatnot. And we have to start somewhere. We have to start, whether it's in a living room or wherever, to get from A to B or A to C, or wherever you're going, whatever the destination is. And you never know when it's going to take off, and you just have to keep focused on why are you doing it, why. And then, like this example, for example, like the video is going viral. That is something that is that's what social media is about, right? So, and you're speaking your truth and being authentic. Like, people know, they can tell if somebody's, putting on a show, right?
Yeah.
If you want to see a show, then you go to an improv class, or you go to, like, a play or something like that. Then at least you're going for a show, but not like, someone talking about. But on the other hand, other thing is, what's very important to understand is that social media does not represent the person who the person is, unless you're actually speaking as a video or actually sharing something.
Don't just scroll through Instagram and look at all these people in their fashionable clothes and their cute little perfect family pictures and their cute little storyboards and think that that's what it looks like all the time. That's a show.
Yeah.
That's a show. Yeah. And what I really loved what you said, which I think is so critical. You just mentioned it briefly, but it's so critical in transformation and in finding purpose in your life, is when you start thinking about how you can help other people. When you aren't sitting around, again, whether you have physical deformities or internal deformities, the more you sit around thinking about yourself and that victim mentality, the more stuck you're going to be. But when you start saying, you know what, how can I use this to help lift other people up, your whole life changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, I don't have any. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So in the very beginning, you said that there were a lot of teachings that and messages and coaches or helpers that gave you the lessons that you needed to find purpose and to not become a victim. Can you remember, or what are the ones that you still use today? Obviously there's the I can handle anything. You'll never give me more than I can handle. What are some other things that you tell yourself that we can either tell ourselves or tell our children?
To always try to look for the bigger picture and not what we think is just so important at that time. That is a lesson that, like, also that I will never forget. It sometimes we freak out. We freak out by these things that are happening to us, but I'm sure you've heard it before, that they're actually happening for us, and we never understand why until later. I'm always I'm always paying attention, and being the observer is very important to me, because connecting the dots of how I got to where I got and how and who was part of that journey, right? So, if I think about, for example, if I went out last night, how I got to that group of friends, from where, back backdate until whoever, but the journey to get there that's what led you there, right? So there are going to be things in our lives that are traumatizing. There are going to be things in our lives that are painful and unexplainable and unbearable and heartbreaking. But you're still here. And as long as you're still here, there's a reason why you're still here. And you may be going through the worst situation ever, but you're still here. And just the fact that I'm still here and you're still here means that there's still more work, so to speak, to do. And whether it's living a purposeful life, or whether it's saving someone's life, or whether it's being of sharing, and serving others, it depends. It doesn't matter. You're the one who decides what your life is, right? And you just have to keep in mind that, or I recommend or suggest that we keep in mind that we have a choice, right? To deal with the situations that are given to us by changing the meaning, or how we're dealing with it. And there is always a master plan. And the master plan for me, if there's a story. When I moved from Los Angeles to Toronto, I thought it was the worst possible thing ever. Why would I go back to the cold weather? It's not good for my health. Why would I do, like, I had lists. I was devastated. If I didn't move back to Toronto, I would still be in a wheelchair. I would still be half the size I was, and I would probably not have met more of the people that have helped me on my journey, and the friends and the families and all that stuff. I probably wouldn't even be sitting here today. And that for me was the biggest switch of understanding that there is always a bigger picture. And I thought at the moment it was the worst thing ever. Like, why my high school life was in Los Angeles. Why would I want to come back? Right? Like, my friends are there, but thank God, like I had friends here as well and everything. I lived here before. But when I realized, like, okay, oh my God, like, I'm on crutches now, but maybe that wouldn't have happened in LA. Maybe it could have, but for me, that shift was understanding that there's a bigger picture.
I really love what you said too, is that you're the observer.
Yeah.
And I have always said, okay, this is how quickly the half an hour goes. It's 9:29 and I don't want to give you up. So people are just going to have to hang on for a little bit. I'm not ready to close out yet. But I do like to make it half an hour so people know they can get in and get out on their inspiration and move on. But you're just going to have to stick around a couple extra minutes. I really love that you said you're the observer, because I can imagine that that is one of the biggest components of your success and your ability to stay positive. Because I always say that change cannot happen until awareness begins. And once you start becoming just aware of even your negative thoughts, or to be observing, like, how did I get here? And, oh, wait a minute, that happened because of that, which happened because of that really bad thing. But without that, it wouldn't, you know what I mean? And if you just start piecing it together and seeing the puzzle for what it is. And the other thing that you said is that you look for all the good things too. Why am I still here, instead of why am I still here? I mean, there's two different ways you can say that same exact sentence. And I'm getting a ton of comments on Instagram about how it's super inspiring. And of course, Joanna loves your shirt. So clearly you're looking handsome. So, but I think, but really a lot of comments on people saying that this is just going to help them think a little bit differently. And if it's just one person that we reach today that is going to say, I'm just going to observe a little bit more and think a little bit differently. And maybe I can, when I'm in the heat of, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Say, wait a minute. I remember what Warren said. He said, why is this happening for me? What am I going to do with this?
Yeah.
Then we will have been successful.
I really hope so that, this conversation uplifted somebody or brought them out from something that they're dealing with, because you never know. People don't actually share what they're going through, and sometimes you never know who needs that phone call. If there is anything that I always do encourage is pick up the phone and call somebody. Like, you never ever know who needs you right now, right? And so,
Well, we're so grateful for your bravery. I mean, really, it is very brave to stand up and talk about what you're going through and share your stories. And I have, make me want to cry because I just am like, it's so needed. It's just so needed. And it takes a lot of bravery to stand up. And it's very easy to sit back and say, oh, I don't want to get in front of people. I don't want to, what are they going to judge me? And I will be very honest, my first videos were horrible, but you cannot get to a good 50th video until you've had a really crappy first one and then a less crappy second one. And, even your speaking, that the first ones probably aren't as good as these last ones, but it didn't stop you. And that's, one of the messages to share today is don't let anything stop you, especially fear of what people are going to think about you, or they're not going to resonate with your message, or they are not going to, because one person might. And it's just, oh, I'm getting a God bless you, Warren. And so I don't want to let you go. I'm going to sit here all day and I just talk to you. I'm sure you have a lot to do. Tell me where you're speaking next. And I know that you're, and that people can hire you to speak. You are in Canada.
yeah.
He's a little bit expensive, because he's a rock star, but you got to pay him. He flies first class. And but he'll speak anywhere, so let's be sure that people can find you and book you. And where is your next speaking engagement? Do you have one yet?
On Sunday, I'm actually hosting a wellness event for self-healing together with my friend Sherry. And we're going to be doing something a little bit different than actually just speaking, but like more of a hands-on kind of, from meditation to different practices. So a lot of the things that helped me specifically was, the different modalities that I've experienced in my life that have helped people. So we're going to be sharing that on Sunday in Toronto, downtown Toronto. If you need that, just reach out to me and then we can send you the invite for that if you're in Canada or Toronto. The
How long
next
does it take me to get to Toronto by Sunday? Good.
But if any of your viewers want more information, just message you or message Stacey or myself. The next one, we're actually, I'm going to be speaking at Heroes in Black, the Heroes camp. And it's a change maker movement that basically helps kids off the streets and brings them to an environment where they can be empowered and they can really rise up from what it is that they're dealing with. So we'll be there on Sunday or the following June 2nd with my team. So
Well, and I appreciate you also threw in, see, you're so subtle, about things that help you, and meditation was one of them. And I really encourage people to do meditation. And it took me, I don't know if it was the same for you, but it took me like 10 years to actually finally figure out how to do it daily. But otherwise I was like, I can't do it. But was it as hard for you?
No, but I think is what happens is we think meditation, oh, I have to do it this way or I have to do it that way or whatever it is. If playing loud music in the car and you close your eyes and you visualize the greatest possible outcome, do it, right? Because it's all about changing your frequency. And when you change your frequency, you attract other things to come into your life. And that is raising your vibes or whatever you want to call it. And or breathing or whatever it is that's going to center you. So there's so many different techniques, but in the beginning, yeah, my mind is always running. Like, it's very hard for me to sometimes sit still and just breathe. But once I do it, it can become addicting.
Okay, now you just threw out one more thing. The raising frequency. Do you listen to Abraham Hicks?
All the time.
Okay. See, everybody, you don't have to just listen to me, listen to Warren. So 1 billion% it works. listen to Abraham Hicks, listen to Warren, raising your vibration and your frequency. I think that is a really awesome place to end, because it is, if you're feeling down, you're going to attract down. So do whatever it takes to feel up. And you're right. If you mean sitting in your car and blasting the music, then that's what you should do today. So, Warren, dance. I'm telling you, one day, get on the dance floor with Warren. I was going to share the picture of us. I think you have like a silver disco hat on, and I have like a tiara on, but I couldn't get to it this morning fast enough. But I will share it on Instagram and on Facebook if it's okay with you. But anyway, thank you, Warren. People can find you there's a link to this on the Facebook. I'm going to link to you on Instagram. Please follow Warren. Please share his story. We will definitely do this again, because I think we can do another half hour just on raising your vibration. And you know what? Your bright shirt has raised the frequency on here, because it's like, you're just happy looking at you. Your smile raises, I'm telling you, I'm just going to be quiet now, because now I sound like I'm total fangirling out right now. But I just want to, when you are big and famous, you will remember those of us from BFSA, okay? Please. I have proof now that you knew me when, right? I've got video. So.
Thank you, Stacey. I really appreciate the time with you, and thank you, everybody, for watching.